Hey fight fans, welcome back to the Fight Book. This is the Indian accent guy, finally done with the examination bullshit and fully focused on the channel again. Now in this video, I'm gonna tell you every important update about upcoming fights that happened in the past couple of days. 3 fights got cancelled from UFC 319 card that is happening tonight, and 3 fights added on different UFC fight cards. Then 3 fights are announced from the PFL and 7 updates from the upcoming big scale boxing fights, including Alexander Usyk's fight. So without wasting any time, let's start the video to stay updated with the fight world. First, let's talk about UFC 319 cancelled fight, and first top 33 welterweight final was cancelled. That was supposed to happen between Denis Dochenko versus Rodrigo Cezinando. This fight is postponed due to Cezinando suffering an ankle injury and is being moved to No-Show UFC September 13 card. Anyway, this is not the only fight that No-Show UFC got. One more fight is also added on the card, and that is a bantamweight bout. David Martinez's original opponent Carlos Vera had pulled out, and now Martinez got a new opponent, who is Kwang Le, who just got his first UFC win after back-to-back losses in the UFC. Anyway, the second fight which is cancelled from the UFC is the preliminary card headliner King Green versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. It is cancelled because King Green got an injury in a lower body that is so bad he can't walk right now. Anyway, Green doesn't reveal the specific of the injury, but now we do know that this fight is not cancelled. It is being postponed just like the top 33 welterweight finale. But currently, it is not announced that on which card this fight will be added. The third fight which is cancelled is a middleweight bout between Brian Battle versus Nursultan Ruziboev. It is cancelled because Battle missed weight by 4 pounds. In his last fight, which was a welterweight bout, he had missed weight, so UFC forced him to move up to the middleweight division, and now in the middleweight division he again missed weight by 4 pounds. Ruziboev was offered 30% of his purse to fight, but he did not agree to fight an overweight Battle, so this fight is cancelled. Anyway, Battle and Ruziboev both met backstage where they agreed to make this fight again, and this time for UFC 320 Abu Dhabi card. Anyway, if we talk about the fights that are added on UFC cards, and the first one added on UFC Paris September 6, it is a featherweight bout where 2 former non-UFC champs will collide against each other. Number 11 ranked UFC featherweight Patricio Pitbull, who is coming off his first UFC win against Dan Ige, will welcome Octagon champ Lozine Keita in the UFC. Then the second fight is also about former Bellator champion. This is a bantamweight bout where Patchy Mix will be welcoming KSW bantamweight champion Jakub Viklas. This fight is added on UFC 320 T-Mobile Arena card headlined by Ankalaev versus Pereira. And that was all from the UFC fight announcements. Now if we talk about PFL, they added 3 more fights on PFL Dubai October 3rd card headlined by Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes. You can see their full man card on your screen. Koan Logran will be making his debut against Lewis McGrillen, and Magomedov will kick off this card against Sergio Pettis. And now lastly, let's talk about boxing fights. First, there are 2 fights that are almost done, and now it is just a matter of official announcement. First one is Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman. They have a deal in place to meet for Fundora's WBC Super Welterweight title on October 25th at Las Vegas in MGM Grand. The fight will headline a PBC on Prime pay-per-view where Thurman, 36-year-old, will look to become a 2-division champion. Anyway, there is another super welterweight bout. WBC interim super welterweight champion Virgil Ortiz versus IBF number 1 ranked Erickson Lubin are reportedly finalizing an October 18th DAZN event in the US. Anyway, Virgil Ortiz is also continuing his beef with WBO super welterweight champion Xander Zayas, but most probably his next fight will be against Erickson Lubin. Anyway, other than these 2 fights that are almost done, there is one title fight that is 100% done. Anthony Olascuaga will defend his WBO World Flyweight title against Juan Carlos Camacho in Las Vegas during Canelo Crawford Fight Week in September. Moreover, I remember from talking about Canelo Canelo Crawford fight week. I had told you in my last video that Don King has announced that Michael Hunter will be facing Kubrat Pulev next. But now Hunter claims that he is still on to fight Jarrell Miller on Canelo Crawford fight week and is no more in contract with Don King. But still, currently, no official statement is made from Riyadh Season or Turkey Al Sheikh. Anyway, other than these fights, there is a super lightweight title unification fight in works. WBA super lightweight champion Gary Antoine Russell says he is currently in negotiations for a unification fight and hints that it is with IBF super lightweight champion Richardson Hitchens. Moreover, the undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk has requested an extension in negotiations to fight his WBO mandatory Joseph Parker due to injury. Usyk vs Parker was ordered on July 25th to reach a deal in 30 days, and now if WBO rejects the request of Alexander Usyk, Usyk will have to vacate his WBO heavyweight belt. Moreover, the WBC has now officially ordered Ricardo Sandoval to defend his WBA and WBC World Flyweight titles against WBC interim champion Galal Jafai. Next, they have cancelled their previous order for Jafai vs Francisco Rodriguez Jr. because Rodriguez Jr. failed his 2 drug tests in a row. And then lastly, WBA super featherweight champion Lamont Rose Jr. has announced that Gervonta Davis rematch is not happening next. Rose says that he will find a new opponent for himself and he is moving on from that rematch. And that was all in this video. Now you are again completely up to date with the fight world. Enjoy UFC 319 tonight as well as Riyadh Season Itauma vs White. If you want to do something for me, just share your feedback in the comment section. That's important for me, and if you have already done it, do whatever you want now.